Imagine standing in a $10 million living room, Italian marble, a chandelier that costs more than a house, and a view that screams power. Now, imagine selling it all for $1. That's exactly what one man did, and the reason why will change how you think about money, happiness, and your own life forever. He didn't go bankrupt. He didn't lose his mind. In fact, his accountant told him he was richer than ever. But one morning, Julian woke up, looked at his life, and decided to sell everything. Why? Because he discovered a secret about wealth that 99% of us ignore until it's too late. There's a specific reason you feel tired right now, a reason you feel anxious even when things are going well. The answer is in this story. By the end of this video, you'll realize why your pursuit of more is actually stealing your life, and you'll learn the truth about a freedom that money simply cannot buy. Let's be real for a second. We're all chasing something. A new car, a bigger apartment, the latest iPhone. We're wired to believe that getting more things equals success. We think, if I just get that one thing, I'll finally feel complete. Julian thought that too. He spent 20 years climbing the corporate ladder, sacrificing sleep and family birthdays to build his empire, and he succeeded. On paper, he was the American dream. He had a garage full of supercars he rarely drove and a library of first edition books he never read. But here's the scary part. The more he bought, the heavier he felt. Have you ever noticed that? The moment you buy something expensive, the excitement lasts for maybe a day, maybe a week, and then comes the fear of losing it. Then comes the maintenance, the insurance, the need to protect it. Julian called this the golden cage. He realized he didn't own his possessions owned him. He was working 80 hours a week not to build a future, but just to maintain the lifestyle he had already built. He was a slave to his own success. But the breaking point wasn't in a board meeting. It came during a simple dinner. He looked around his massive dining table, which seated 12 people, and realized he was eating a ham sandwich, alone. The silence in that big, expensive house was deafening. He had spent his life buying chairs for people who never visited and bedrooms for guests who never stayed. That night, he made a decision that terrified everyone who knew him. Stop for a second. Ask yourself this. If you had to pack your entire life into 2 suitcases right now, could you do it? Or are you anchored down by things you haven't touched in years? Julian started what the local papers called the garage sale of the century. People thought he was having a mental breakdown. Friends whispered that he must be in legal trouble. They couldn't understand it. Why would anyone willingly give up the status symbols that prove you're a winner? But as the items left the house, something strange happened. Julian didn't feel loss. He felt lighter, physically lighter. When the vintage Ferrari was driven away, he didn't feel a pang of regret. He realized he no longer had to worry about it getting scratched. When the expensive art was shipped out, he realized he no longer had to pay for a high-end security system. There's a psychological concept called the Endowment Effect. It says we value things more simply because we own them. We attach our identity to objects. If you scratch my car, you hurt me. If you insult my house, you insult me. Julian was systematically severing those attachments. He was detaching his identity from his net worth. But here's where the story gets interesting. It wasn't just about becoming a minimalist, living in an empty white box and sleeping on the floor. That's not the point. The point was about making space. When the house was finally empty, Julian stood in that same living room. No furniture, no art, just space. For the first time in 20 years, his mind was quiet. He realized the clutter in his home had been creating clutter in his brain. He took the money from the sales of fortune and he didn't buy a bigger house or a yacht. He bought a small, modest cabin by a lake. He put the rest into investments that generated passive income, ensuring he never had to work for a paycheck again. This is the part people misunderstand. Julian didn't choose poverty. He chose freedom. He traded stuff for time. Most of us trade our time for money to buy stuff, which then steals more of our time. It's a trap. Julian broke the cycle. With no mansion to maintain and no image to uphold, he had 24 hours a day to do whatever he wanted. He started writing. He reconnected with his estranged brother. He started hiking. He learned to cook. He discovered that the joy he was trying to buy at the luxury dealership was actually free. It was found in a conversation, in a walk through the woods, in a good night's sleep without the stress of debt or overhead. Now, you might be thinking, that's great for a millionaire, but I have bills to pay. I can't just sell everything, and you're right. You don't have to be a millionaire to learn this lesson. In fact, this lesson is more important if you aren't rich. We live in a consumer culture designed to keep you broke. Every ad you see is trained to make you feel inadequate, so you lines buy something to fill the void. They sell you a cure for a disease they invented. So, how do you apply this philosophy to your life? It starts with the 90-90 rule. Look at an object in your house. Have you used it in the last 90 days? If not, will you use it in the next 90 days? If the answer is no, get rid of it. Sell it, donate it, throw it away. It's dead weight. Next, stop buying things to impress people you don't even like. We spend so much money signaling our status to strangers. Look at my shoes, look at my car, but the truth is, nobody cares. They're too busy worrying about what you think of their shoes and their car. When you stop playing the status game, you instantly become richer because you stop spending money on a performance. Julian's story ends in that small cabin. A journalist eventually tracked him down, expecting to find a broken, regretful man. Instead, she found him sitting on the porch, reading a book, looking 10 years younger. She asked him, "Do you miss it? The power? The luxury?" He laughed and said, "I was never powerful. I was a battery powering a machine. Now, I am the operator." He explained that true wealth isn't having a lot of things. True wealth is having a lot of options. When you have low overhead and fewer possessions, you have the option to quit a job you hate. You have the option to take a risk. You have the option to just sit still and breathe. The man who sold everything didn't lose anything of value. He only sold the props on the stage. He kept the actor. He kept the story. And for the first time, he was the one writing the script. So here is my challenge to you. You don't have to sell your house today. But look around the room you're in right now. Pick one thing that you are holding on to, just because you think you should. One thing that weighs you down, and let it go. Experience that tiny moment of lightness, then do it again. Because the less you are owned by your things, the more room you have for your life. Julian found out that the best things in life aren't things. It's a cliche because it's true. Don't wait until you're 60 years old and surrounded by expensive junk to figure that out. If this story made you rethink your relationship with money and possessions, you're going to want to stick around. We're building a community of people who are waking up from the matrix of consumerism. Click that subscribe button so you don't miss the next lesson on how to reclaim your freedom. Remember, you are not what you own. You are what you do. Thanks for watching.